Dolly Girly, and welcome to another video. As you can see by the title, we're going to be making a custom Rainbow High Olivia Rodrigo doll today. I love Olivia Rodrigo, and my little sister is an even bigger fan of hers, so she's the main reason why I'm making this doll today. And so for my custom Rainbow High Olivia doll, I want to give her an outfit from the Guts tour. So yeah, with all that being said, let's get on with the video. Okay, so the first step in making a custom doll is choosing your custom doll, and I wanted the doll that I chose to, of course, look like Olivia physically, I guess, like facially wise, if that makes any sense, and I wanted her to have the right skin tone. So I was looking through the Rainbow High dolls that I already have to see which one looked the most similar, and I've always thought that Mila Barrymore looks like Olivia Rodrigo for some reason, so I was like, she's perfect, I just need another Mila to customize. And I finally found one on Mercari from the seller Chicky. I'll put her name in the description if you guys want to check her out. She was super nice, and the way that the seller was selling this Mila specifically was perfect for me because I told myself that I didn't want to pay full retail value for another Mila unless she had all of her accessories, but I would have ended up, you know, with a bunch of bubbles of clothes that I didn't really need. But this seller specifically was selling Mila with Scarlet Rose's outfit from Shadow High, and I never got around to getting that doll because I don't really like Shadow High like that, so the only reason I would have bought the Scarlet Rose doll was for her outfit. And I killed two birds with one stone with this Mila, essentially, that I got an extra Mila for an Olivia and Scarlet Rose's outfit, so it worked out perfectly for me. I was so excited to get her. But yeah, enough of me rambling. Let's get a closer look at the doll. We'll do a little review on her, and then we'll get right on to customizing. Okay, so I've already taken the doll out of the bubble mailer that she came in, and she was wrapped in bubble wrap, so let's go ahead and free her from the bubble wrap. And ta-da! There she is. She's so pretty. Her hair is parted down the middle, and she pulls it to the side with two rubber bands and loops some silver plastic rings in her hair to accessorize. Her hair is straight and goes all the way down to her ankles and is a burgundy reddish color with some purple streaks in it. She has black eyeliner and some white and red eyeshadow, some blush and red lipstick, and she has real rooted eyelashes and inset violet eyes. And she does have painted nails. They're painted a burgundy red. And remember, guys, this is Mila Barrymore from Rainbow High Series 4, I believe, but she is not wearing her original outfit. She is restyled in Scarlet Rose's outfit from Shadow High. I don't think her earrings are scarlets, but she does have silver snake earrings that have a letter R and a letter H on the other side, a burgundy red hoodie that says Storywood in silver on the front, and has a faux hoodie that velcros in the back along with the sweater. She wears gray pants that have working belt loops, a faux button, and faux zippers with the letters SH on the zippers, and her pants velcro in the back, and there's no back pockets. For her shoes, these boots did originally come with Mila Barrymore. They are a burgundy red with painted details like some silver buckles and some black laces, and you can see there's molded on spikes throughout the shoe. Soles of her shoe are black, and the tips and back of her shoe are painted a metallic silver. Because of her boots, she is able to be balanced to stand on her own, and she stands at roughly over 10.5 inches tall with her shoes on. She has 13 points of articulation with rotation at the head, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hip, and a double jointed knee. Also, to put on long sleeves or hoodies, you can snap off her hands to make it easier and then just snap them right back on after you're done. The seller did include some other accessories in that plastic bag, like Scarlett's original stand that comes in 3 pieces, and you can just assemble like this, and then the doll just clips right on. With the stand on, she stands at roughly under 11.5 inches tall. The seller included Scarlett's original black boots that say Shadow and silver across the top and have a burgundy red bottom, and the 2 mini red books that Scarlett came with. They're both a burgundy red and have all the words and designs in a metallic silver. This one is titled Oz, a Storywood Fairy Tale by T.M. Sparkle, and you can see that it says that in the spine, and here is the back of the book, and they both have real pages, and it looks like like it has writing, but I don't think the words are legible. Here is the other book. It's called Storywood and the Enchanted Princess, also by T.M. Sparkle, and has a silhouette of a girl on the front, which is super pretty. It says that on the spine, and here is the back of the book. Again, it also has real pages, and the words are not legible, but they're both super cute nonetheless. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at her, I did say that I wanted to make an outfit from the Guts tour, so this is the outfit that I have in mind for her. I want to make the white tank top and the black rhinestone shorts. Out of all the pieces that she came with, I'm glad that she came with her original boots because Olivia Rodrigo wears some Doc Martens, so that's great. But she didn't come with her original tights, which would have been so helpful because Olivia wears some tights. And so I'm gonna have to resort to buying those separately because I don't know how to make tights. But I'm excited, and we already have the first item for her outfit. And so all that's left now is to make the rest of the outfit. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna be making is Olivia's white tank top. I do have this one from Karma Nichols. If you have this tank top and wouldn't mind changing it, or an extra one like this lying around, you could just take off the rainbow logo with acetone and draw on the new Olivia design. But since this is my only one that I have, I'll be keeping it like this and instead just be using it as a pattern, and we'll be making an extra one from scratch. Keep in mind, guys, that I'm not a professional at sewing, and I'm just kind of doing things how I think it will turn out right. So for now, I'm just tracing the front of the shirt, and while I opened it, I realized that it was all just one piece and it's sewn together here. But I think it'll be easier for me to just trace the front and the back as two separate pieces, because in order to trace the shirt as it is, I would have to take it apart at the seams, which I don't want to do. So I'm just gonna trace it like that and hope for the best. This is what I ended up with after I traced the front, and now I'm gonna trace the back. The back is somewhat tricky because you have to remember to leave enough overlap for the Velcro closure, so I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna trace one side of it first, and then place the other half like this, and then trace that. And this should be the front and back piece of the pattern to make the tank top. Now what I'm gonna do is cut it out and make sure to leave enough space along all the sides for the seam allowance. So after you cut it out, you should have something like this. I found this piece of scrap fabric in my bin of scrap fabrics. So what you're gonna do now is take your pattern and place it upside down on the bad side of the fabric that's gonna be towards the inside of the shirt. This is gonna be the front of the shirt, and this will be the inside. So place the pattern upside down. And then you could pin the pattern and cut it out that way, but what I'm gonna do is just trace it and cut it out. I did notice that I made one of the sleeves slightly shorter than the other, so I fixed that while I was drawing it on the fabric. And since this is the part of the fabric that will go on the inside, I did write a little F to remind myself that this is the front piece. Okay, so what you're gonna do now is just cut it out, and you remember that whenever you made your pattern, you left enough for the seam allowance, so I think it should be all right to just cut on the line that you drew. So this is what I get after I cut it out, the front piece of the shirt. It does look a little big, but I think whenever I sew the edges down, it should be a little smaller on the doll. If not, we can always adjust it. It's easier to make something smaller than it is to make bigger, so we'll work with this for now. Now you're gonna do the same thing with the back part of the shirt and just trace it onto the fabric. And while I was cutting the other piece, I remembered that when you cut fabric, you're supposed to cut it without lifting the fabric up, so that's my bad. I'm gonna try and do that whenever I cut this one out. So here's my pattern after I've traced it, and now I'm just gonna cut it out. Yeah, no, I can't cut the pattern if it's flat, so I am gonna be lifting it a little, sorry. And you know what, now that I think about it, I do have fabric scissors, but I just use these instead, and they're working fine, so we'll just keep using these. So here are my two pieces now, the front and the back. Now what you need to do is pin down the top and bottom part of each of the two pieces and sew them so that it creates a nice clean edge. So you're gonna fold this down like this, and then sew that, and then fold the bottom part up like this so you can sew that, and do that again for both pieces. In order to make it easier for me to sew the curve, I cut a little slit in the middle so that it's easier to fold down and sew. And I did say you could pin it, but I found that it's a bit too small for me to pin it, so whatever you're comfortable with. But now I'm just gonna go ahead and hand sew it because I think it's too tiny for me to work through a sewing machine, so I'm just gonna do it by hand. So now I got to the middle where the split is, and see, now it's easier to fold down and then just keep on sewing. And then once you get to the end, you're gonna go right back the other way. So go to the end of your last stitch and then start there, then just go backwards. So this is what I have now after I finished the top, and this is what the front looks like. You can see my stitching is not the cleanest, but that's okay. So now I'm gonna take Karma's top and line it up with the front piece so that I know how much I need to fold up from the bottom so that it's this same size. Since the part that I needed to fold up was a bit longer, I was able to pin it this time. And now I'm just gonna sew along the bottom like this. Here's what the top looks like now. It's definitely more cropped, but I don't like how much extra fabric there is left over, so I'm gonna take some scissors and cut some of it off, being careful not to cut the front or too close to the bottom stitches. Here's what it looks like now. It looks more clean on the inside. Okay, so I centered the top on the doll, and what I'm gonna do now, on the inside of the shirt, draw where I need to fold down the shirt in order for it to properly fit her around the arms on both sides. Now what I'm gonna do is cut a little slit right here to the line to make it easier to fold down for when you're gonna sew. Now you can fold it down and then sew along the edge. Okay, so here's what the top is looking like now. It's not perfect by any means, and I'm hoping that there's enough seam allowance for the back part to join up with the front. But yeah, that's what the front looks like for now. For the back part, I just basically folded it in half, and now I'm gonna cut it down the middle. You should end up with two pieces like this, and I'm gonna draw a letter B on here as well so that I don't mess up where the front or the back is. Like I said, we're gonna do the same steps that we did for the front part of the top and fold this part down and sew for both pieces, and then fold this part up and sew for both pieces. Okay, so this is what this piece of the back looks like. Now I'm gonna do the same to this one, and then I'll be right back. Here's what the back piece looks like after I've sewn down the top, under the arm, and the bottom, as well as trimmed the excess. So here's what the three pieces should look like now, and what you're gonna do is take each piece and put them good side to good side, and then sew along the top of the sleeve. So as you can see, I've attached it there, and when you flip it back, it should look like this. Next, you're gonna line up the other part and do the same thing. This is what it looks like with both pieces attached, and when you flip it over, here is what it looks like. This will be the back. So as you can see, it's starting to look a little bit more like a tank top. Here's what it should look like now if you hold it on the doll. The top part of the sleeve is a little bulky from all the fabric being folded under, but that's fine with me. So let's keep going. What you're gonna do now is attach the sides of the shirt without closing the opening. So you're gonna sew from the bottom of the arm down, and same for this side. You're gonna sew from here down. Here's what it should look like now after you've done that. So now you should be able to flip it over and have a tank top. I've tried it on, and by some miracle, I've managed to make a top that pretty decently fits her. The only problem is the back. I didn't make the back pieces long enough to overlap, so I won't be able to sew this down and this down to make it a clean edge, unfortunately, because it's not long enough. So I'm just gonna have to sew the closures on like this with this raw edge. I would use Velcro, but I feel like the Velcro I have would make the closure too bulky, so instead I'm gonna be using these plastic button snaps and sewing those on. So what you're gonna do is on this bottom part, you're gonna sew this piece, and on this top part, you're gonna sew this piece that has the little piece sticking out. So I'm gonna position the flat piece on this side as far to the edge as I can, leaving a little space for me to sew. And then what you're gonna do is just start sewing. Make sure that the knot at the end of your string ends up on this side of the fabric and not on this front part. It's kind of hard to do on camera, but basically I've just sewn the middle, and now I'm going around and getting the little bars here, so I'm sewing those, and then I'm gonna work my way around to the edges and sew that. Okay, so now that you've sewn that button, make sure that it's nice and secure so that whenever you pull it apart to take off the shirt, it won't be coming out. So I think I've done a pretty good job there, and now all that's left to do is put on the other part of the closure, and that will go on the inside of the shirt on the opposite side so that whenever it closes, it lines up. Okay, so I've sewn on the two buttons, and here's what it looks like closed. So now all that's left to do is sew on the other buttons, and you should be done making the shirt. I sewed on the the snaps, and here's what the shirt came out like. It's not perfect, but it's fine with me. So now all I'm gonna do is draw on the fantasy logo that I wanted to do with a pencil. I left the shirt on the doll, and I'm gonna try to draw it that way so that it's centered. But I don't think the letters are gonna come out exactly like this since the shirt is so tiny, but I'm gonna try my best, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so it was a bit difficult to actually make a mark on her shirt that was that tiny with a pencil, so I'm just gonna go ahead and skip that part and go straight to drawing on the logo with black paint and hope for the best, because I don't think I'll be able to take it off if I mess up. So let's go ahead and try that. I'll be using a toothpick to draw on the design as precise and tiny as I can. So I finished painting it, and here's what it came out. I'm so obsessed with it. It came out near perfect. Now that we have the black paint out, I'm gonna paint the shoes just using a paintbrush. Here's what the boots look like after one layer of paint. But yeah, I'm gonna do a few more layers. Now that I've coated the boots in several layers, what I'm gonna do now is go over the details with some metallic silver and yellow paint using a toothpick. Okay, so I finished the grommets, and what I was going to do with the yellow was try and outline the little stitches along the bottom of the Doc Marten, but they're too tiny, so I think I'll make do with just the grommets. Now that the boots are dry, I'm going to seal them with a layer of Mod Podge. And now, after the layer of Mod Podge, the boots look shiny and the paint won't chip off. So now that we have the tank top and the boots, all that's left to do now is to make the shorts. So I'm going to be using this pair of Kaya Heart shorts to make the pattern on this piece of black scrap fabric using this white gel pen. I think I can do it without a pattern this time, so I'm just going to skip that part and go straight to tracing the shorts onto the fabric. For the back, I flipped the shorts inside out, and I'm trying to visualize how the fabric would look if it was extended. You should end up with 4 pieces, and I made sure to label them so I don't get the pieces mixed up. And now with my fabric scissors, I'm going to cut them out, making sure to leave enough space along the edge, so don't cut right on the line. Okay, so I've cut the pieces out, and after I did, I realized that I had accidentally drawn the same back piece twice, so I went back and fixed that, so now I have 2 separate pieces. And I also realized that I had labeled each piece wrong, so I went back and relabeled them correctly, and I think this is how they should be. So these are the 4 pieces that you should end up with. Remember, guys, that I only know the very basics of sewing, so forgive me if I do make mistakes or don't do the shorts in a typical way, but I believe what the next step is going to be is to fold the bottom part of each of the shorts and hem that first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've sewn the bottom of all of the pieces, and now I think what I'm going to do is sew these 2 pieces together. So I'm going to take them and put them good side to good side so that you could see your pattern, and then I'm going to sew all the way down. Okay, so I finished sewing, and now when you open it, it should be attached like this. Now I'm going to take one of the back pieces and attach it to this part like this and sew a line straight down. So this is what I have now, and now I'm going to attach this other piece like this on this side and sew a straight line down. Next, what you're going to do is fold down the top part all the way across and sew. Now that you've done that, it should be looking like this. What you're going to do now is fold it like this and make sure it lines up, and then sew a line from the bottom up, but don't sew all the way to the top. And as I'm sewing, I'm going to stop for a second and try it on the doll to make sure that it can still go over her hips. For now, that's all that I'm going to do. As you can see, I just sewed a stitch forward and left the needle still attached, and now I'm going to try it on the doll. I'm going to carefully flip it right side out. So this is what I mean. There is the last stitch, and when I slip the shorts up and down, they are able to move up her hips. So I think that will be the last stitch, and you didn't sew all the way to the top so that you are able to sew on a closure and close them. So now I've taken the shorts off and flipped them inside out, and I'm just going to continue going down the other way. I'm not gonna go up to the top. I'm gonna go down this way and continue closing the stitch. I'm back to the front. So now what you're gonna do is join this bottom part together. So what you're gonna do is sew a line from here straight across. So here's what it should look like now after you've joined it. And what you're gonna do after that is do the same for the back. You're gonna extend it out like this and sew a line from here across. This is how the back should look after you've joined these pieces together. And what you're going to do now is fold this piece down and that piece down and sew. Here's what the back is looking like now, and next what you're going to do is take the back piece and the front piece and line them up and sew a line from here to here. And now that you've sewn these pieces together, you should be able to flip it out and have some shorts. All that's left to do now is to sew on the closures on the back. So I marked where the closures are going to be to line them up, and now I'm going to sew in the flat part on this side and the part with the part sticking out on this other side, and I'm going to do that off camera and be right back. I've sewn on the closure, and now for the moment of truth, will they fit on the doll? And they do! I'm so glad they fit. They're not perfect, but I'm so happy with them. Okay, so for these clips, I muted them because I found a better alternative to making these shorts. At first, I had them on the plastic packaging, and that didn't really work well because when I put them on the doll, they would like crease, and then it would be difficult to place rhinestones because they would overlap in the creases. So yeah, be mindful of that and just put them on the doll. It's easier that way. And also, do not use Elmer's glue. You'll see why later on, and just tweezers were making the process so much slower. So yeah, it was a lot of trial and error for sure. But yeah, what you do want to take away from these clips is that whenever you go to buy your rhinestones from Amazon, make sure that you get the ones that come with a dotting tool, because that'll make your life so much more easier when you're rhinestoning. And after a bunch of rhinestones, here's what the shorts look like finished. And now for her tights, I bought this set of 10 from Amazon. They're by the brand Sotif in the delicate style and came in the colors red, bright yellow, light blue, purple, magenta, hot pink, light pink, white, and black, which is the pair we'll be using. However, in the reviews, I read that the black tights did stain their dolls, so I'm going to be washing mine beforehand in hopes that the dye will wash out instead of transfer on the doll. Here's how the tights look like on a rainbow high doll. They're not too bad of a fit, although whenever I put the boots on, they did tear a little, so they are a bit fragile. Also, guys, when I was taking the shorts on and off, I did lose a ton of rhinestones. Evidently, that glue didn't really stick as well, so I'm gonna have to find another one. But for now, let's just keep going. I'm gonna be using this picture of Olivia Rodrigo as a reference and this white gel pen to draw out where I'm gonna be placing all the stars on her tights. Now that I finished drawing out the stars, I put the tights on the piece of plastic. And again, more trial and error. Do not use super glue to glue the rhinestones on. My tights got stuck to the plastic and ripped a huge hole that I later had to sew, so do not use super glue. Okay, so I sewed it, and here's what it looks like now, and it's not too bad from afar, although I'm really disappointed that I couldn't figure out how to use the rhinestones. Luckily though, I did find that I had some silver glitter in my craft drawer, so I'm gonna be taking a brush and brushing it on with Elmer's glue. Okay, so I did most of the work off camera because it was a little tedious to get all of the glitter sparkles to lay perfectly where I wanted them to. But yeah, here is the finished product. I'm not too mad at it. I mean, from afar, they do look like rhinestones. Like, there's the rhinestone one and the rest are the glitter. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Hopefully, whenever I put them on, the glitter doesn't fall off, so we'll see. The Elmer's glue did seep through the fabric since it's so thin and it's stuck to the plastic a little bit, but unlike the super glue, I am able to just very carefully pull it off. Here's what they look like on. Honestly, I'm very pleased with them after so many failed attempts. I think this is pretty good. So now I'm gonna super glue the rhinestones back on these shorts and fix them off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, I finished the shorts, and now for the moment of truth, will they fit on the doll without anything falling off? Hopefully the glitter doesn't fall off either. Okay, so it did take a while to put the shorts on. I had to pull them up very carefully to not cause any of the rhinestones to fall off, and even then I did lose a few, but that's totally fine with me, and here's how she's turning out. Also, I did lose this star from all the scraping up that the shorts went through to get up all the way, but that's fine, and most of the stars stayed intact, so I'm happy with her. So now I'm just gonna do her necklace. I'm gonna be using this piece of tassel fabric that I found in my scrap bin, but you could use any elastic or string. And what I did was cut off two pieces like this. Just place them on a non-stick mat in the shape of a V. And where they meet in the middle, I'm gonna take my hot glue and make a tiny heart. And of course, please be careful when using hot glue because hot glue is hot. So here's what my finished heart looks like. It's a little rough and it was a little harder than I thought, but it turned out. And now what you're gonna do is take some red paint and paint the heart. And when the paint is dry, coat it with some Mod Podge so that the paint won't chip and to give it a glossy finish. Here's what it looks like glossy, and you can just tie it onto the doll, and here's what it looks like on. And with that, you've finished making her outfit. Here's what the completed outfit looks like on. All that's left to do is to dye her hair and paint her eyebrows brown, and she should be done. Okay, so let's get everything ready. First, you'll need to heat up some water in a stainless steel pot on the stove until it is boiling, so it'll be very hot, so please be careful with it. And I brought mine over to the restroom to work next to the sink, so please wear gloves if you'll be transporting the pot. Okay, so I'll be using Rip fabric dye to dye the doll's hair, and I want her hair to be a dark brown, so I'm not sure exactly which colors I'll need to mix to get that shade, but I brought over dark brown, lemon yellow, and black. And make sure that you're using the fabric dye that says all-purpose dye and not Dye More. Dye More will stain the doll's skin. Okay, so you'll need a spoon for stirring that you don't mind ruining or already ruined, and some gloves so that you don't stain your hands. Next, just pour in however much dye that you think you'll need, stir, and then test it out to see if it's the shade you want. And it was looking alright to me, so I went ahead and dipped the doll in the water and swirled her around to distribute the color evenly in her hair, and then take her out and rinse out her hair, of course. Here's what her hair was looking like still wet. When it dries, it'll dry lighter, so I could tell it still needed to be a bit darker, but I set her outside to dry anyway. Okay, so here's her hair all dry, and I was right, it is still too light to be Olivia's hair color, so what I'm gonna do is keep repeating the dyeing process until I get the color that I want, and I'm gonna do that off camera, and then I'll be back to show you guys what the result of her hair is. Okay, so here's how her hair turned out. I did have to repeat the process 2 more times to get it to be this shade, so I did it for a total of 3 times, and I think it's pretty good. It does look black on camera, but I promise it's a bit more brown in person, although you can still see some reddish undertones in her hair, but I don't think those will really ever go away, so for now, this is gonna be Olivia's hair. And Olivia does have her hair in waves, so I'm gonna curl her hair. And to do that, I'm just gonna braid her hair and then pour some boiling water on it so that the waves will stay in her hair. And I'm gonna do that off camera, and then I'll be right back to show you guys the final result of her hair. Okay, you guys, so here's the result. She's looking way more like Olivia now that her hair is curly, although I'll admit it does look a bit more crimped than curly, but to me that's fine. So now all I'm gonna do is paint her eyebrows and take off a little bit of her makeup with acetone off camera, and then I'll be back to show you guys the result of the Olivia doll. Okay, so she's all ready, and I've dressed her in her outfit, so now for her big reveal in 3, 2, 1. Here she is, Miss Olivia Rodrigo. I took off her red eyeshadow and painted on some new eyebrows, and she looks so transformed. She looks just like Olivia. And just in case you guys forgot what she looked like before, here she is next to my original Mila doll for comparison. But yeah, I think she looks so good with her new outfit and face, and I gave her a microphone to complete the look. I honestly couldn't be more proud, and I hope you guys like her too. But yeah, with that concludes today's video, and I do apologize that it was a bit long, but I really wanted to do an in-depth step-by-step tutorial to make it easy for you to follow if you wanted to make your own Olivia doll as well. So yeah, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because in the future I might make her red outfit from the Guts tour, as well as her red megaphone and like some guitars for her, so you won't want to miss that. So please make sure to also tap the notification bell so you don't miss out whenever I post a new video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, dollies!